भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिके। So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, fifth chapter, Vidura asks questions to Maitreya, text number 15. So Vidurji is further asking, Tadasya koshara sharmadatu hare kathamev katha susaram udhritya pushpebhya ivarta bandho shivaya na kirtaya tatirtha kirtahe. O Maitreya, friend of the distressed, the glories of the Supreme Lord alone can do good for all people all over the world. Therefore, just as bees collect honey from flowers, kindly describe the essence of all topics, the topics of the Lord. There are many topics for different persons in different modes of material nature, but the essential topics are those in relationship with the Supreme Lord. Unfortunately, materially affected conditioned souls are all more or less averse to topics of the Supreme Lord, because some of them do not believe in the existence of God, and some of them believe only in the impersonal features of the Lord. In both cases, there is nothing for them to say of God. Both the non-believers and the impersonalists deny the essence of all topics. Therefore, they engage in topics of relativity in various ways, either in sense gratification or in mental speculation. So Vidurji want to hear about Krishna only, just as bees collect honey from flowers, kindly describe the essence of all topics, which is the topics of the Supreme Lord. And people in general, just like in first canto, second chapter we read, so, Shukdev Goswami said, there are millions of topics people want to talk about. There's so many, unlimited number of topics, except the topics of Lord Hari, because they have no interest in this. They think it's a wastage of time. If we talk about sports, if we talk about politics, if we talk about movies, talk about economy, talk about money, talk about opposite sex, talk about fashion, this is all of value. But topics of Lord Hari, nah, what's the point in all this? What is it going to do? But that is the essence actually. And this is what Vidurji knows. Vidurji was in the middle of the whole politics of the whole world. I mean, Hastinapur was the center of the capital of the whole world, and Vidurji was in the middle of the politics. He was in the middle of all the money of the world. But he didn't get attracted to that. He was only attracted to topics of Krishna. Of course, he took care of his services when he was there, but he was always interested in topics about Krishna. And now, by Krishna's mercy, somehow he got a chance to be away from all the nonsense politics and everything that was going on in Hastinapur. And now he's in the world, and he wants to associate with the sages, with the devotees, and he wants to hear more and more and more and more about Krishna. This is devotion. And he knows this is the essence of everything. For the pure devotees like Vidura, the topics of both the mundaners and the mental speculators are useless in all respects. Thus Vidura requested Maitreya to talk of the essence only, the talks of Krishna, and nothing else. So he just wanted to know about more and more about Krishna. Text 16. Sa Vishwa Janma Sthiti Sanyamarthe Kritavtaraha Pragrihita Shaktihi Chakar Karmani Ati Purushani Yanishvara Kirte Tani Mayam. Kindly chant all those superhuman transcendental activities of the Supreme Controller, the personality of Godhead, who accepted incarnations fully equipped with all potency for the full manifestation and maintenance of the cosmic creation. Vidura was undoubtedly very eager to hear about Lord Krishna in particular, but he was overwhelmed because Lord Krishna had just passed away from the visible world. He therefore wanted to hear about him in his Purusha incarnations, which he manifests with full potencies for the creation and maintenance of the cosmic world. The activities of the Purusha incarnations are but an extension of the activities of the Lord. This hint was given by Vidura to Maitreya because Maitreya could not decide which part of the activities of Lord Krishna should be chanted. So this is we are reading between the lines because Vyasadeva is telling us that Maitreya could not decide. So between this verse and the previous verse, there is no such indication, but there was something else was also going on that only Vyasadeva knew, and he's writing it. And he's saying, so Maitreya Muni was not sure. Prabhupada is writing. So Maitreya Muni was not sure. So Vyasadeva is giving him hint that, or Viduraji is giving him hint that you talk about the Purushartha. Start with the Purushartha. Text 17. Shri Shukavacha Sa evam Bhagwan Prishta Kshatraha Kosharava Muni Punsamni Shreyasarthena Tamaha Bahumanayan. Shukdev Goswami said, the great sage Maitreya Muni, after honoring Vidura very greatly, began to speak at Vidura's request for the greatest welfare of all people. The great sage Maitreya Muni is described here as Bhagwan because he surpassed all ordinary human beings in learning and experience. So here, Prabhupada is explaining that Shukdev Goswami said, Sa evam Bhagwan Krishna. So he's calling Maitreya Muni as Bhagwan. Bhagwan means full of six opulences. But here Maitreya Muni he has one opulence in greater quantity than anybody else. It is about the learning and experience. So in this way, Shukdev Goswami is saying he is Bhagwan, but he is not the supreme Bhagwan. He just has one opulence in a higher degree than anybody else has. Thus, his selection of the greatest welfare service for the world is considered authoritative. The all-inclusive welfare service for the entire human society is devotional service to the Lord. And as requested by Vidura, the sage described the same very appropriately. So Maitreya Muni is beginning to speak. And which is the greatest welfare of all people? Greatest welfare means it's not, of course, that's also welfare service. If we feed somebody poor, or if we take care of somebody who's sick, take him to the hospital, get him medical help, or put clothes on somebody, or give some money to somebody so he can take care of his house or finish his education, or some other help, some other like mental help. It's so many people are psychologically ill, and they might be materially very well okay, but psychologically they have problems, and helping them psychologically is very good, no doubt. But it's not the greatest welfare. Why? Because even if we help somebody physically or psychologically or emotionally or mentally or in the relationship, so any other way, which is good, helping is good, anyway is good. But the greatest welfare is when we help the soul find its way back home, back to Godhead. That is the greatest welfare. Because helping the body doesn't ensure that we are helping the soul. And that's where the problem is. Of course, devotees are very, very compassionate. They're very soft at heart. So they don't mind helping the body either. But understand that this is not the greatest welfare. So we have to try to help the soul, while at the same time, if we can help the body and the mind, great, why not? So devotees have to be very careful and very clever in whichever way they help. Ultimately, they should try to help the soul. Try to help the soul getting connected with Krishna, making progress in Krishna consciousness. That's the greatest welfare. Text 18. Maitreya vacha sadhu prishtam tvaya sadhu lokan sadhu anugrihanta kirtim vitanvata loke atmano dhokshajatmana. Sri Maitreya said, O Vidura, all glory unto you. You have inquired from me of the greatest of all goodness, and thus you have shown your mercy both to the world and to me, because your mind is always absorbed in the thoughts of the transcendence. Maitreya Muni, who was experienced in the science of transcendence, could understand that Vidura's mind was fully absorbed in transcendence. Adhokshaja means that which transcends the limits of sense perception or sensuous experience. The Lord is transcendental to our sense experience, but he reveals himself to the sincere devotee. Because Vidura was always absorbed in the thoughts of the Lord, Maitreya could estimate Vidura's transcendental value. He appreciated the valuable inquiries of Vidura and thus thanked him with great honor. So Maitreya Muni said, you have shown mercy both to the world and to me. Maitreya Muni at that time didn't know that Vyasadeva is going to pick up this conversation and put it in Srimad Bhagavatam. But he knew wherever and whenever there is some talk of Krishna being spoken of, Krishna being glorified, anywhere, it helps the whole world. Because first of all, not just the speaker and the audience gets benefited. Anybody who's listening, maybe in whatever body they are in, it hardly matters. Because this talk is all spiritual. So that living entities, all those living entities, they get benefited. And if anybody who hears it and explains it further, propagates it further, this is even more beneficial. And Maitreya Muni is saying that you have shown mercy to me. It's a great privilege, actually. It's a great honor if somebody asks us questions of Krishna and we get a chance to speak about Krishna. So this is mercy of that person on the speaker. It's not just the audience's benefit, the speaker is also benefited immensely. Also the speaker understands that it's mercy of Krishna that he has arranged for this audience or for this person to come to me, and so I can speak about Krishna. And speaking about Krishna is purification, because when we are speaking, so many senses are engaged in the service of Krishna. We are thinking about Krishna, we're talking about Krishna, we are hearing about Krishna, and at the same time we are helping other person in whichever small way, big way, whatever way. We're helping the other person become Krishna conscious. So Krishna takes notice of that, and Krishna gives more of his mercy. That's all preaching is about. Preaching is not about, of course, if somebody can memorize shlokas and read the scriptures and explain them very expertly, it's wonderful. There's nothing wrong with that. It's wonderful. But if somebody cannot, somebody has a limitation. So if he just has eagerness to speak about Krishna, Krishna's mercy will follow. And Krishna's representatives, Guru Parampara, they will give their mercy upon that person so he can speak, whether eloquently or whether in broken language. But he still would, if he can transform the heart of the other person, that is preaching. Preaching is not we quote thousands of shlokas, but the audience is sleeping. Of course, some way it is helpful, at least they are hearing something is going in the ears, something beneficial, than the mundane topics. But real preaching is when we help somebody. Of course, we are not going to transform anybody's heart. Only Krishna does. So when we help somebody in transforming his heart, that is preaching. Anybody can preach. Anybody can help. Preaching is not just giving big lectures. Preaching is by how we take care of others, how we behave with others, how we deal with others. That's also preaching. So that anybody and everybody can do. And understanding this is mercy of Krishna, that Krishna has sent me this audience. Of course, we are not in the level of Maitreya Muni that Vidurji, person like Vidurji will come and ask us questions. According to our level, Krishna will send the audience. And we have to be thankful to Krishna for sending us this kind of audience. They are there, and Krishna wants us to preach to them in whichever way we can help to transform their heart. Once a Guruji, he had very little, small disciples, very little kids, young kids. And he gave this young kid, small, thin kid, he gave him a hammer, small hammer, and he showed him to a big rock. He said, okay, go break that rock with the hammer. And this kid, he just didn't know anything, and the rock was pretty huge, pretty big. And he was very small, tiny, thin kid. But it was Guruji's order, so he said, okay. So he went and he started to hit the rock. Whole day he was hitting the rock with the hammer. Nothing happened. He came back. Again next day, again he went to hit the rock. Nothing happened. So many days passed by. So many months passed by. But he would still go and hit the rock. And one day, one very fine day, he saw a very little crack on the surface of the rock. And he was happy, he was jubilant. He came running to Guruji, 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 the rock is breaking. See, today the rock is breaking. I can see the crack. Guruji took all the other kids, all the other disciples to that rock, and with the little kid. He said, no, the rock started to break. Rock started to crack the very first day you hit it with the hammer. Today is the day it's showing you the crack, but inside some crack happened when you hit it with the hammer. Way inside something happened, and that crack propagated to the surface now, that you can see. So similarly, preaching is transformation of our heart and transformation of the heart of the audience. So when we say something related to Krishna, or whichever way we want him to help that person, of course, making him a devotee is not in our hands. That's definitely out of question. But anyway, we can help, and who knows when, where he will show some transformation. But the transformation started happening when we first met him and spoke about Krishna. That's all. It can happen in 5 minutes. It can happen in 5 years. It can happen in 50 years. It can happen in 50 lifetimes. We don't know. We just have to do our part. With full faith in Krishna, full faith in Prabhupada's books. That's all. And this is why Maitreya Muni was thanking Vidura that you are showing your mercy on me also. Because Vidurji is giving him a chance to talk about Krishna. Of course, to talk about Krishna, only one thing we should be aware of, or we should be cautious about it. We should not talk in a fanatic way that we turn the other person away. We with very loving, compassionate way, if we talk about Krishna, even if the person doesn't agree with us, he won't become against Krishna. We don't want to turn anybody against Krishna and make them commit offenses. That will be very serious. So we should speak in a loving, compassionate, in a very caring way. And not necessarily we have to talk about Krishna. We just talk about just compassion and caring and loving just like I give you example, the very senior disciple of Prabhupada, Jayananda Prabhu, American body, and in fact when he left his body, Prabhupada said he went back to Krishna Loka. So Jayananda Prabhu was the temple president at one time of a temple. But being temple president, he was doing pretty much all the services, even taking out the garbage and fixing the cars. He was a mechanical engineer by education, but he was driving taxi to pay for the rent of the temple. And he was the first one who, with his own hands, he built the cart for Lord Jagannath Rath Yatra. With his own hands. Whole night he was up and making the cart. And he would also go around and collect donations. And in that, he was in California somewhere. I don't remember where, Berkeley or someplace. So he would go to the shops where they sell vegetables, and wholesale vegetable sellers were there. And he would talk to them about giving the vegetables for free as a donation for the temple. So when he passed away, and he was diagnosed with serious cancer and he passed away. And when he passed away, the devotees, following his example, they went to those vegetable vendors. And it was a serious situation because those vendors, actually that was their front end business, because in the back end they were like part of mafia. And these devotees, they were very scared of going in that market because they had to deal with the mafia people. So when they went, somehow they still had the courage and they went. And this big mafia person who was a vegetable wholesale dealer, they went to him asking for vegetables. And this mafia guy, he wouldn't call Jayanand Prabhu a Jayanand. He said, "Oh, where is Johnny Ananda?" The devotees told him, "Oh, he passed away." This mafia guy was literally crying. He said, "Johnny Ananda was my great friend." Of course, Jayanand Prabhu wasn't talking to them about Krishna, but somehow with his behavior, with his demeanor, with his dealing with them, they believed he's a friend, he's a well-wishing friend, he's a caring friend. And in return, he would give him vegetables for free for the temple. So they were doing service to Krishna. Even unknowingly, they were doing service. But why? Because they didn't know about Krishna, they didn't know about Prabhupada, they did not know about philosophy. All they knew was Johnny Ananda, that he is my good friend. So that's also preaching. Who says that's not preaching? That's very good preaching. So with time, place, circumstance, with the person we are dealing with, we have to see what kind of preaching we have to do. It's not like everybody is going to pick up chanting beads, and in one of our lectures, first lecture we give to somebody, and 5 minutes of our speaking to him, he's going to pick up beads and start chanting 16 rounds, shave his head and join the temple. Not going to happen. No. But at least let's make everybody a well-wisher, friendly of Krishna consciousness movement. That's very good preaching, actually. So that is possible when we understand that whoever Krishna has sent to us for talking about him, that's what our our goal is. That's Krishna's mercy that he has sent this person. And somehow or other we have to make him favorable. That's all. That'll be a very good achievement. So anyway, I'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for this beautiful class.
Thank you, brother. So I guess we'll stop here. You all have a wonderful day. Just one